We have probably over 100, if not more than a couple hundred pretty soon, parents on this call. So what we're asking is, number one, if you can, again, please mute yourself on your side. We're going to attempt to do it on our side. Ale has control of that to some degree, but she will be presenting. We're going to ask you also to please ask questions on the chat. There's a little icon that if you hover over Sorry, I was muted again. So on the chat, please take the opportunity to ask questions there. I have some of my own colleagues on the call. Ms. Patty Frost is here. She's a director in the district level. Patty, you want to say hello?
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Patty. So I'm going to ask Ms. Frost as well to kind of help navigate the questions in the chat. Narita Guerra, she's our administrative assistant in our department. She will also be responding to some of your questions there. And if I can, throughout the time we're here together, I'll be trying to answer some of the responses in our a little bit of background as we transition into this new distance learning. We're going to talk about where we are today, what we're expecting over the next couple. We're going to attempt some issues from a national level as to what's happening with this COVID-19 situation. And then we'll be also sharing with you what impact this has for you and your child in their educational services that we'll be offering for the next couple of months. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ale. Again, I want to thank you all for your patience in allowing us to be part of this opportunity with you. And again, we ask you to be patient with us as we're learning along with you. So Ale, take it away, please.
Okay, so I'll ask Nereida to please jump to the next slide, where you see the first slide was just us introducing ourselves to you. And just to remind you, we are here to serve you. Our main purpose every day is to provide your student with the needs they have to be successful in every aspect. And that extends to you because we fully understand that you are the strongest influence in the life of your child. It's strong and consistent. So on the screen, you see that especially during this unprecedented contingency that we are experiencing globally with COVID-19, we want to be sure that we are conscientious about where we get our information. COVID sources of information for COVID-19 will be our San Bernardino County because it's very specific to our region. Also the state of California, the Department of Public Health of California, and the World Health Organization. There is a link on top. It reads student and family resources. That is on our website. And if you click on it, you can see links to each one of these sources of information. We want to be sure that since there's a lot of information circulating through WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram and all these different social media platforms, that we adhere ourselves to what authorities are informing us and instructing us to do in order to be safe and to maintain our children safe, and you, our families, and our staff. So with that said, we go to the next slide, please. We think it's really important that we work as best as possible as a team with you guys. We consistently think of you as the primary and consistent teachers of your student, but it's crucial that you hear from us how we are responding to this COVID-19 moment, and we are here to tell you what is happening and what response and plans we have for our students based on not only on their grade level, but also on their specific needs. If they are English learners or if they have special education services and needs, that we are working to address the needs that each group has, and of course our nutrition services as well. Mr. Diaz, would you like to elaborate on that?
You're going to have to ask me that question again. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read some of the comments and trying to respond at the same time. So didn't hear you.
No, I was just sharing with parents that we are making sure that every student, transitional kinder through 12th grade, is addressed with regards to their needs, and also students who may have special needs, such as English learners or students with an IEP, as well as our intention to make sure that nutrition services is very present and consistent with serving our students. And I was wondering if you had anything to add.
No, again, as we're transitioning into this distance learning piece, as you know, you probably heard the schedule. For the first week, we provided packets for K-12. Today, actually, we started our 7-12 distance learning, which means most teachers, if not all teachers, have contacted students and parents via email to distance learning today for 7-12. We will have one more week of packages, package usage, which many of you may have already picked up last week for our TK6 students, starting the TK6 online distance learning a week from today. So as we transition into that, I know there's been questions already about grades and so on and so forth. So I want to make something very clear. The way we're moving forward, and this is guidance from the state of California, from our California Department of Education, no student, and in other words, all students' grades for the end of third quarter is the baseline of their grades. They will not be able to go any lower than whatever grade they received in third quarter. This, of course, has a huge impact for our secondary students, especially our 9 through 12 students and our graduating seniors. So whatever grade they received in third quarter of second semester is the lowest grade that they can receive. It can only improve from here on in. So I'm hoping that that answers some of the questions. I know on the chat, there's been quite a few comments on that. So the intent is to really help children with their provide them opportunities to increase that grade, but it will not be lower than that quarter grade received prior. In relationship to special education, oh, I'm sorry. Let me address special ed, and then I'll go back to you.
Yes.
For special education, there are actual links within the school site online by the teachers that will provide access to those students. You'll be contacted by their teacher as well. We will be continuing support of all of our students as we move forward. So we do plan on doing our very best in addressing the needs of all of our students, TK-12. Within the constraints, of course, of what we have with this distance learning and how we're going to use WebEx and Google Classroom and so on. So that's what we wanted to get all of you here to share with you some of these new
information, parents. Many of you have had this question, especially at this point of the school year, because we will be wrapping the school year soon, is if due to this, your child will need to be retained. And the answer is no. If your child was in third grade, then the next year they will be in fourth grade. I believe parents, quite a few of you were concerned with is this and pause us of beginning a new school year, and that is not the case. Please know that. Also, something that is important for us to for you to know.
Ale, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you please hit mute all again?
Yeah, I'm consistently doing it. Just unmute yourself, please. Okay. Just parents, as you can hear a lot of noise in the background, I keep muting everyone, and I hit the button mute upon entry, but for some reason it doesn't work. So I keep muting everyone, and that person, Mr. Diaz and I will keep just making the best of it, and trying to help the flow of this communication. Something else that is important for you to know is that all the questions that are coming through the chat, when we attempt to look at them and another one comes in, a new one comes in, the system takes us to the very bottom, and so it'll be difficult for us, quite tricky, to figure out where we were at. But if we proceed, Mr. Diaz, to the next slide, please. Nene? Okay. So with this new moment of distance learning, we know that some of you have experience with your student, what it is to have virtual opportunities to extend the learning at home prior to this crisis. Now that we are in this era and everyone is functioning under this distance learning mode, it's going to be of great importance that you as parents feel comfortable, not only your child, logging in and learning how to navigate these virtual tools that your students will be using with their teachers. We also will have opportunities for you as parents to experience the tools that we have available to your children. And for some of you who may not be as comfortable with technology, we also will have opportunities for you to feel more comfortable, because if there's always importance in your role as parents, this is even more enhanced. This is a moment when your influence and your proactive ways as a parent become more and more crucial to the success of your children. It is of great importance that you maintain your health, and that's why we are asking you to please stay home, please stay safe. We have heard from authorities, and the state of affairs tells us that we have this very genuine need to stay home and to keep our children healthy and to stay well. Some of you have expressed that your children are growing impatient, and they miss school and they miss seeing their friends. But definitely, if we weather this storm out and we stick together, we will be looking back and celebrating the way in which we did this. Some of the information and tools that we will be sharing with you will include mental health opportunities and ideas to do activities with your children aside from the academic ones, so that they feel engaged, they feel relaxed, and there's a decreased level of apprehension and stress at home when they have to be confined to the home. We are about to share with you how to access ClassLink and how to navigate other resources. We go to the next slide, please. ClassLink, as you see on the top right corner, is the means through which your child can access the applications that we have for them. These are the virtual or the digital tools and materials that are related to the curriculum, and they are tailored to the grade level and the classes that your child is taking. So if you go to our webpage, www.cjusd.net, if you look at the top right portion where it says "Let's Go," that's a drop-down menu. The third item on that drop-down menu will read ClassLink, and that's the entry point for your child to be able to see the tools that they have or the applications they have at their disposal. Anything else to add, Mr. Diaz?
unmuting at this point. So yeah, so regarding ClassLink, and I'm just responding to multiple parents on the chat. And I'm going to ask my other colleague directors if they could also monitor that and help respond to some if they can. So in regards to ClassLink, that is the one, what we call single sign-on, which allows you to access all of the icons and or apps, if you will, that are vetted through our district and your child's school. So the main one that I want to point out is number one, the Google environment, which is where the Google link is for the email and the calendar. Those are important because that's how we will be communicating, meaning your child's teacher will be communicating to your child and to you via the main Google email, as well as through ClassDojo for some of you, but the main should be through Google. That is where they'll also be receiving the link on how to access WebEx, which is what we're on right now. So this will be a similar environment to what your child will be experiencing with their teacher. This is how they get the invite to be part of a WebEx face-to-face, if you will, with their child, with the teacher. So please make sure that you are communicating through Google. But my recommendation is if you have any questions or concerns, you're absolutely, please contact your school site. Right now, we do have principals at the sites. They are actually there, and there's very few staff at the actual site, but they are here right now. So please do contact your child's, number one, obviously the principal at the site, but the teacher directly. So my understanding is not all classes and all schools have ClassDojo. Those that do will be utilizing it, so your child would know about it. But the main link that we are using is Google. So it'll be your child's district issued Google account, which you can access through ClassLink.
Okay, if we switch to the next slide, please, Nada. Slide, we are making great emphasis in making sure that we are extremely proactive. As parents, please keep a close eye on how your child is behaving when they're interacting with their teachers on WebEx opportunities, when they're performing tasks assigned by their teachers, when they are reading, when they are doing any type of work. If you notice that there's a level of frustration, is not productive, and that is indicative of you having a concern, please promptly reach out to the teacher. This is an era, and we look on the next slide, that just acting promptly and reaching out to the teacher becomes more and more important. Email has become a means to make sure that your child's teacher or teachers are aware of any challenges that your child or you are experiencing with the work. When we think of communication, some of your teachers are using ClassDojo to communicate with you. Other teachers will be using QC, which is the means through which we send you those the invite in this meeting, and we are sending you emails. But please be proactive in making sure that your class teacher is aware that they have a student who needs help, and this is a way to reach out to the teacher. If you already have this relationship and communication with the teacher and it's through ClassDojo, it's great. However, email is a means through which you can go back and refer to it or just resend it if necessary. And that is also some way that you can make sure that you are on the same page with the teachers. If you think of, for those of you who may not be so familiar with email, if you go to your site's website where it says our staff, and there's a directory, and that lists all the staff members. You can just search your teacher's email address. It is a live link, and if you click on that link, it can take you to that person. The structure of our emails for all of us at CJUSD is our first name _ last name at CJUSD.net. And it is the best way that you can communicate with all of us. It is our pleasure and it is our privilege to serve you. And I see that some teachers use Remind and not Dojo, some use Dojo and Remind. So the variables are there, but email will be something that we ask your children, check their email. We have issued an email upon enrollment for every student, and they should be checking that email daily, more than once a day, because our teachers will be sending emails to your child. So it's important that you look at that. I see some concerns about the packets, the ones that we printed out and distributed. As of this week, secondary teachers began their distance learning opportunity. And secondary students, those packets that we distributed and those activities that we suggested that they did, and I apologize, I keep muting everybody. Those packets have become a thing of the past, if just to call it a way, because now teachers have designed lessons for their students, and secondary began this week. Elementary grades, transitional kinder through 6th grade, will begin new activities and new information for students with new lessons and new interactions of many sorts as of this coming Sunday. You can receive a packet because the site ran out of packets. Please do not worry. We are focusing on, from this point forward, being sure that your students have these newly designed lessons and these very diverse opportunities to engage them in their learning needs. Anything else to add, Mr. Diaz?
I'm going to invite Mr. Pinnell from IT to answer some questions in regards to Chromebooks. Again, we're being very general. I'm trying, and the reason being is there's multitudes of questions which we're going to try to respond later. We're trying to get to as many as we can right here. But I do want to share a couple of things that I'm seeing a trend on. So I've been seeing a lot of questions as to whether or not my child is being promoted to the next grade level for next year. Will that impact the 2021 school year? This is like a normal period of time. So we will transition all of our students to the next grade for next year, given, of course, that everything is a go and in the sense of any other personal issues. But in general, nobody is being held back. Again, to reiterate, it is 3rd quarter grades. That is the baseline of grades moving forward. So a student can only do better from that particular grade. The grades will not be lower than the grade they received for 3rd quarter, 2nd semester. In regards to packet, I want to remind all of you, packets were distributed for secondary last week. There will be no more packets as of this week, considering that we started distance learning today for secondary. That means grades 7 through 12. We will start distance learning for elementary grades, TK6, starting a week from today, next Monday. So that is the update on that piece. And I am going to turn this over to Mr. Pinnell. And on that note, I do want to thank him publicly. I want you all to know that he and his staff have worked very hard to deploy and get ready almost a plethora of Chromebooks so that your students have access to a device. And with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Pinnell, and he will share with you some updates as to Chromebook distribution, exchanges, should there be any, and where we can get some more if you have not received one. Mr. Pinnell.
Yeah, hello everybody. Appreciate everyone for being on. So we have done our Chromebook distribution. The majority of that ran through last week. There are still a few elementary schools, I think 3 elementary schools doing Chromebook distribution today. I believe 1 school will be doing some on Friday. So you'll want to look out for messages from your schools on that. Our plan is to have 1 or 2 times per week at each school. There will be somebody on site for you to turn a Chromebook in should you be having a problem with it, to get that repaired and to have another device checked out to you. We're still in the planning stages for that, so we don't have an actual schedule for you yet, but we will be getting that out as soon as we can to everybody. So as Ms. De La Torre said, please check your emails for that information. I'm not sure if there were any other specific questions that I needed to address, Gil.
So you addressed, and if a new student needs one, they haven't picked one up, you already talked about that. You talked about replacement, should there be one. I think that should do it. And we'll have you jump in a moment again, should there be another question, Mr. Pinnell. So thank you so much for that. We have Ms. Corden. She is the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, and I believe there are some questions about state testing. Ms. Corden, would you like to share?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Thank you for being here. Yes, thank you.
I apologize. I jumped on here late. The California Department of Education has officially canceled testing for this academic year. However, advanced placement tests for high school students will continue. They're modifying the format slightly, and you can get up-to-date information on AP testing if you go on the AP Central website. They're updating it constantly, and there's a lot of resources for students preparing for the AP exams as well. But the CASP testing that most of our students take regularly every year in the spring has been canceled for this academic school year.
And I'm going to add to that. Someone just asked about benchmarks. They have also been postponed for right now. So any state testing and or district testing has been suspended for the rest of the year. There may be some assessments that teachers may use throughout their online distance learning process. And again, that's only to better the student's grade moving forward. All right.
Another question about graduation, Mr. Diaz. Will seniors be graduating, and what about their activities? Will they be canceled?
Ms. Corridan or Ms. Kingston are on the line as well. Would you guys like to chip in on that?
Can you repeat that question, please?
For seniors, Ms. Corridan,
Yes.
will seniors be graduating, and what about their activities? Are those activities canceled?
So we have if you go on the district webpage on the very front and you click on students at the top, it'll bring down a drop-down menu, and at the bottom of that drop-down menu is a class of 2020 page. Click on that, and on that page is an FAQ page related to all questions that seniors have submitted as far as activities, mostly regarding activities. And then we also have some alternative graduation dates that we've secured in July and August. Those dates, I believe, are also on the main webpage under Class of 2020 in the announcements. I will be meeting with the principals and their staff on Wednesday from the high schools so that we can solidify. Now that we're closed through the end of the year, we have to solidify and make some permanent decisions. So that Class of 2020 webpage is really the best place to find answers. The last update, I did say that basically we are on standstill until April 13th is when I plan to have it updated after I meet with the principals this week and kind of finalize most of that information.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. I appreciate that. A couple other comments are being made about, can a student make their grade better? The answer, that's the point of us getting online and working with your student, is to better their grade moving forward. Again, the grades cannot go any lower than what was already gained in third quarter, second semester. In regards to the yearbooks, I see a lot of questions about yearbooks. We will be putting out communication about that. I don't have that information. So as soon as we have that, Disney and also questions. Sorry, Ali, did I cut out? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So again, we'll be putting that in our FAQ pages, as Ms. Corridan stated, and we'll also be sending additional communications. I have seen quite a few comments about seniors. Our team, meaning district level, will be discussing, maybe we host something like this just for seniors to discuss some vital options in regards to like these, graduation pieces and credits, so on and so forth. So we can definitely discuss that and we'll get back to you, but I do see that there might be a need for that.
There's also questions about ASB grades. Please refer back to your child's teacher, communicate via email. Also for reimbursements of special trips for 6th grade students, for seniors, if you have paid fees, please refer to the ASB directors for information as to how they will process these matters.
So I want to add another comment here. Schools are currently open. There should be, like I said, at least one principal and some staff on site to answer questions. Our intent is to get up and running so that we can also take care of individuals. Obviously, we know the situation out there. So they are reporting to work. We all are, in some cases remotely, in some cases we're going to the sites, into the district, but we are also maintaining our distances from each other and trying to abide by the law.
There's a question about enrollment.
Yes, let me finish on this part and then I'll get to that one. So again, schools are available. There are people at the sites right now, so please do contact the school site should you have any questions. There are principals that are actually on this WebEx right now listening. So again, if in fact you do have questions that are related to, that are site specific about your child, anything to do with a teacher, you are welcome to contact the school directly at this point. Again, those schedules will be changing in the near future, but for right now, we are there is personnel at the sites. Alec, can you remind me what is the another question that might?
Other questions that I see coming in are regarding to enrollment and Chromebooks. For enrollment, how do you enroll a kindergarten student? And I know that our student services director, Ms. Kingston, has given us some and the directive that as of now, our district is not accepting new enrollments. We will adhere to the authorities for guidance. Also, if you want to add, is Ms. Kingston here or Ms. Corden? And then asking Mr. Pinnell to jump in afterwards. If Mr. Pinnell can explain to parents how our Chromebooks are limited as to the access that students may have to certain websites for proper usage. And also the question if preschool students will be receiving Chromebooks.
So this is Ms. Kingston, and regarding registration, currently we're not accepting new enrollment for the 1920 school year. More information will be coming soon regarding how to enroll for the 2021 school year. So we are following the Department of Public Health guidelines and the CDC, so we're working on that right now to determine how we will do enrollment for the 2021 school year.
Thank you, Ms. Kingston. So I do want to clarify something. I was just texted. We did transition already to all sites are not fully staffed. It looks like we have schedules that sites are open 1 day a week now. So any of my colleagues that are on this call right now that can clarify that, I would really appreciate it. And again, oh, we got an email last night, so there's the latest information. So we are on a schedule, so it does not hear that all sites are staffed daily. So we can actually, let me look here. There will be a schedule posted so that we know what sites are open on what days is what I'm saying.
That schedule is not due to be posted until next week, but all of the sites are manned via remotely, so you can email the principals or your classroom teacher, and that information should go to your school site.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. I appreciate that update. I also want to clarify that all communication from the teacher is going directly to the student. It will be the student's district-issued email. If a parent chooses to contact the teacher directly, then obviously that teacher will respond to that parent, but the communication between teacher and student will be going to the student's email account, not the parents.
Okay. And then Mr. Pinnell, can you please elaborate on the Chromebook distribution for students who have not received one yet? And also, how are Chromebooks limited as to the web access for appropriate usage? And if they will be distributed to preschool families, please?
Yeah, so the first part of the question about additional Chromebook distributions, like I said, there are going to be staff on site 1 or 2 times per week at each school. I haven't looked at that schedule yet either, Gil. I think it may just be 1 day a week. And we'll get that schedule out there so that you know where to go. We'll make sure that we distribute that as soon as we can to all the parents. As far as what are we doing to ensure that the Chromebooks are safe and secure for students, by their very nature, Chromebooks are a secure device, so that they don't really fall prey to malware or other types of software on them. They are connected to the internet, of course, so students can browse to things. We do have an internet filter on them right now. It's a tool called Go Guardian, and we are working to implement additional safeguards and protections so that they will work more closely to how they work when they're actually at school, and those should be coming out to the Chromebooks very soon. Fortunately, the Chromebooks are managed in the cloud, so it does not really matter where they are; they still behave roughly the same. So we are able to make sure that they are safe and secure while they're at home. Of course, the first line of defense is still a parent or a guardian. We want to make sure that students are only using these for appropriate activities as well. We can't trust the Chromebook 100%. We still have to have some supervision over it. And then to preschoolers, yes, the plan is to get devices out to preschoolers as well. I believe Mrs. Williamson will be communicating a plan for what Chromebook distribution looks like for
is it burned?
preschool students. And I think she said that might be starting the week of the 13th.
Thank you. And Mr. Pennell, I'm going to have you maybe share this information with parents as I start talking about in response to this question. A lot of them.
Are you gonna want 1 or 2?
Unmute all again and
I
unmute.
talk to him like that.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Delatorre. Appreciate that. So there's a lot of questions in regards to our students to be online at a certain time. Can they do some work independently? So I'm going to try to respond, and I'm going to use these words and I'll try to explain them. But there's what's called asynchronous and synchronous processes, which means there will be times where the teacher will set up an actual WebEx or a meeting online where the students will interact live with that teacher. That does not mean it's going to happen for all at the same time or on a specific time schedule. That will be up to the teacher. They design the class and the instruction. So our hopes is that there will be some interaction face-to-face live with teachers. It does not mean, though, that that's the only time the child can have access to these resources. That's where the asynchronous time comes in, meaning it could be at different times that the student can log in and access these resources, interact, do the assignments, and that in and of itself is a schedule that is much more flexible. So that is why we're asking you to please make sure that you're communicating via the Google Gmail account, because that's where the teacher will be sending schedules and invitations, calendar invitations for the face-to-face interactions with students. So there's a little bit of both. There is no set schedule. Each teacher will be devising their own. And that's why we're asking all parents to check with their student and the student's email to look for teacher directions from that point forward. Mr. Pennell, anything else you'd like to add on asynchronous or synchronous processes?
No, but I did want to say one more thing about the filtering that we have in place. Ms. Servin brought up a good point. We also have a tool that we use called Gaggle, which monitors student communication, whether that be via email, in documents that they write, or via instant messages that they use while they're on our Chromebooks or while they're using our accounts. Those are monitored, and we get reports on the content and the activity from the students every day. So please remember, please remind your students that even though they are at home and away from our school network, that a lot of our filtering tools and monitoring tools are still working on the Chromebooks.
Yes, I'm seeing actually, thank you, Mr. Pennell. I'm seeing a lot of questions in regards to headsets and devices. What we're asking is that the students be given obviously an opportunity to have a space in their home somewhere that they can interact with their teacher via the devices, either that we're providing or the ones that you have at home. They're welcome to, of course, use headsets if they choose to, but there's a lot of the way that we're communicating right now. I do not have a headset on. As you can see, many of us on the screens do not have them. Our computers come with great speakers and microphones, so there's great interaction. But just be aware that if the surroundings have multiple students on at the same time, that could be a little disruptive. So just be aware of placement of the students in the home and scheduling and time. So that might be a little tricky, but I'm sure you can all work some way, some magic at home to try to help with that. On that same note, we will be offering these kind of communications. At this point, we're going to do 3 more, once every week, to share additional information as we, of course, transition into this new distance learning project. We'll be sharing some tips and tricks on what to do at home. We'll be having guest speakers come in and share in relationship to how to deal with your students during situations such as what we're experiencing. Many of our students are confused and or perplexed as to what's really going on in the world, what impact does it have for them, the limitations that they're occurring at school. So it causes a lot of anxiety and stress. So we're trying to also share some information with you as families. To help transition time as well. Ms. Delatorre, anything else?
Yes, I see some questions. If your students will be able to improve their grade, absolutely. It just cannot be lower than what they were carrying at the end of the the third quarter or the first half of the second semester. Another one is for teachers to CC parents when they email their students. I'm not sure that they can do that, but this is where the suggestion comes very strong to you as parents to reach out directly to teachers and to be in contact with them. If you log in Zango, you can see for those of you who have students in secondary and they have more than 5-6 teachers, then it becomes yet more important that you communicate periodically with those teachers to make sure that your students are submitting their work. If they're experiencing difficulty with their work, do not wait. I would say communicate. We have allowed time for each one of our teachers to have moments of opportunity to interact with parents, to communicate with parents, and those will be the moments through which they can respond to your emails or maybe even communicate with you via a phone call if you set that up with the teacher. Also, there's a question if the student's grade will be posted in Zango. Absolutely, that is part of the means through which we can expect to monitor, for students to monitor themselves, for parents to look at Zango and look at those grades. It becomes more and more important. And then there's a question about the expectation or the length of time that students are expected to be engaged in their learning under this new distance learning mode. And those differ depending on the grade level for the students. I am not aware if Dr. Mooney or Dr. Hyder are here, or Mr. Diaz, can you answer that question? It's definitely not the 6 hours, the 7 hours that we're in school. And I believe that is a source of uncertainty for some parents. If you are expecting your child to be engaged in learning for 6-7 hours, that is not the expectation. This is a different era. Mr. Diaz, can you elaborate, or if Mr. Hyder, Mr. Mooney are here?
I can, and actually my colleagues are here. Dr. Mooney and Dr. Hyder are on the call as well. So I'm going to invite them in. Dr. Hyder is our director for elementary, TK6, and Dr. Mooney is our director for 712. Are either one of you there that you can speak to that, please? They may either be unmuting, but while they're doing that, I can actually share that. So yes, we are not expecting students to be to follow the same exact schedule as they are in school. However, we we are advising, and we have put something up online. You probably see some schedules of maintaining a routine for all of your students. So for secondary students, you have your periods broken down. So we ask you, to follow that as much as you can. And again, it allows for a student to maintain a routine at home. For elementary, something similar. We're expecting not to have our students on the computer for 6 hours or more directly. So there will be a short time that they'll be online interacting with their teacher, and it may not be daily. It may be every other day, but there will be assignments and work that they can then actually work towards the week or in completion of an assignment that's been given. So there'll be a multitude of different ways teachers are addressing the specific needs of their class. And I'm really going to direct the teacher, or you to those teachers to get more clarity as to what the expectations are for those schedules. But again, it's not that we're saying to follow the exact schedule they had at school from 7:30 in some cases, or 7:15 all the way till 3:30. It is knowing that the child will be interacting at some point virtually with their teachers, and then having time to do work and follow up at home. So I'm hoping that answers some of the questions. But again, maintaining a somewhat of a routine at home really helps the student.
We are 6 minutes away from adjourning our meeting. I just want to remind everyone that our team will gather all the questions that you have. We will respond to every question, and then we will send that out to you in a document where you can scroll and look at the questions that other parents posted and the respective answers. Anything else that anyone wants to add, Mr. Diaz, Ms. Pinell? Will we be sending out the schedules for students who still don't have a Chromebook? I'm gonna mute all again, so please unmute yourselves.
Yes, the Chromebook distribution schedules will be going out, or Chromebook replacement schedules, I guess, of when the schools will be open for servicing. That will be going out, yes.
We don't have a date, yes, as to when students would have to return the Chromebooks, correct, Mr. Pinell?
Correct. I know there's some questions about whether or not they would be returned this school year. Since the schools will not be open for the remainder of the school year, that's going to be impossible for us to do. So we're still working through what that's going to look like, but we will be communicating that out.
Excellent. I do want to remind you all that we are still providing services for all of our students. So for our special education students or English learners, we will continue providing supports and services for them. I believe there are special links based on your child's teacher, should your child be in special education courses that have some assignments already tagged online. So please refer to those links online. In regards to any reimbursement, I do ask you to please email your school site for those kind of questions, because each site is handling things a little differently and how they're going about it. But yes, please do contact your site for additional information regarding reimbursement. And I believe Disneyland is included in those questions, so please do contact your site for that. Trying to see if there's any other questions I could respond to.
And we just want to reassure you that there will be additional meetings with you so that we remain connected, correct, Mr. Diaz?
That is correct.
And we will continue to bring to you updates. I know there's a lot of questions that we didn't have an opportunity to respond. As you can imagine, the chat is really long, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, when more parents post their questions, the chat, when it does it takes us to the bottom. And so it's physically quite tricky to maintain our placing where we were at in looking at your questions. But just reiterate to you that we will transcribe the questions and answer each one of them, and then we will send those out to you in the same means that you received this invite for the meeting. You should be receiving more invitations to additional meetings. We are in this together. We are in the best of disposition to maintain an open line of communication. We are here to serve you. Refer to the website if you have questions very specific to ASB, to AP, to certain teachers, please reach out to the teachers. We cannot emphasize that enough. If you know that your child is having too much of a challenge with a task, with the subject matter, reach out to that teacher promptly. The convenience of email cannot be stressed out enough, because you can send an email at any time of the day, and you can also receive a response any time of the day. It is convenient. You have evidence of reaching out, and it gives us the opportunity to better serve you and your children. Anything else, Mr. Diaz, Mr. Pinell, Ms. Frost?
Yes, I do want to add one more thing, or a couple of things actually. Number one, Ms. Corridon, thank you so much. I see that you put your email on here in relationship to any questions regarding seniors and graduation. She'd be more than happy to answer those at this point. Again, I do want to reiterate, please do contact your school site, meaning directly the teacher and or the school via email, and we will try to respond to those as quickly as possible. The other thing I want to ask Mr. Pinell, and I pretty much know the answer, but I would like to hear it from you directly. If students have their own device, such as a computer or Chromebook, could they and are they allowed to use their own devices at home?
Absolutely. The majority of our tools and services will work with any type of device, whether that's an Android phone, an iPhone, a Chromebook, a Windows computer. We really want to push things out that work kind of on any device. So whatever device the student is most comfortable using with, please feel free to use that device.
Thank you for that. And again, a reminder, students will be promoting to their next grade next year. This does not impede their movement in their educational journey. So if you are transitioned between middle and high, or elementary and middle, you will be getting information in the next couple of weeks, if not in the next month, in relationship to how the process will go as normal. And if there's any changes, we'll be sure to communicate that all to you. But all students moving forward will be moving forward. And as Ms. Corridon said, we hope to reopen our school year next year, starting in the fall, in August, which is not even fall yet. But we do plan, depending on how this all evolves between now and then, we do hope to see you all live and face-to-face soon and healthy. So again, I want to thank you all. Number one, I want to thank you for your patience and for your dedication to your students, and for giving us the flexibility to navigate these uncharted waters. What our district has been able to pull off in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks has been incredible. We have an amazing team working together, trying to do the best that we can for our students and for you. So on behalf of Colton Joint Unified School District, we want to thank you, and we wish you health, and please be safe. Ale?
No, just to let you know, thank you again for joining us. We are doing our best to serve you and to answer all your questions. Just to recap, we are not accepting new enrollments at this moment. Our school sites are closed unless we reach out to you and tell you that you have this time frame and date during which you can pick up a Chromebook. You are free to do so. Our nutrition services department is working hard to make sure that our students still receive breakfast and lunch. You may pick those up at the selected sites where we are distributing those lunches and breakfasts, and those are posted on our website. Please visit our website. It contains a lot of information that is relevant during this contingency. Our most important, our biggest priority is that you and your children remain safe. Please be safe. Please behave in such a way that if you were carrying the virus and do not have symptoms, that you don't share it with anyone. And that if someone else is carrying the virus and you are not aware, that they don't share that with you. Protect your children, protect yourselves to the degree that you can. We understand that some of you are still having to go to work to provide for your families. Please cover yourselves. Please be extra cautious. This is an experience never before, and our actions will determine how we look back into this moment and celebrate what we did and how we did it. So thank you very much. Let's continue to be a team, and we will see you soon. I will send those answers back to you all. And thank you very much. You may exit the meeting by clicking on the very last button to your right. It's a red circle with a white X. And thank you. We will see you soon. And please expect our answers. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Do we have the chat?
Hi, Ali, it's Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
I apologize that I logged on late.
Oh, no worries. We are doing the
Yeah.
best, and we are having so many meetings.
Okay, I just shot a text to Gil. We would love to be invited to any meetings that you think we could assist you.
Okay.
And I kind of jotted down some of the things that pertain to my division. And if you guys need any help, I don't know how you're planning on responding to these, but we're more than happy to work alongside you guys to help make this a seamless transition for our parents.
Absolutely, and thank you. What we will do is we copied all the questions, and we will oh, hold on, please. Bill is calling me. You please hold for a second. I'm chatting with Amanda. Give me a moment, please. Okay, so Amanda, what we're doing is we will reach out to you to be certain on our answers, and then I will be sending out to parents all the questions with the respective answers, because if a parent has that question, many more parents have that same question.
Okay. Are you aware of what Shane and Missy are working on with the FAQ, that like the help desk FAQ for parents?
No, I have an FAQ as well. Maybe we can share that.
Yeah, they're good. I think Shane is they're trying to create a link that parents can click on and submit their questions that'll go through communications, and then communications will shoot it out to whatever division it pertains to. So we can keep a single FAQ page for parents.
Okay.
I think they're going to categorize it, by topic. So I'm going to have Missy reach out to you about that, so that we're not operating on two different planes here. We can keep everything streamlined. And then any of those questions, just shoot over to us and we can answer them. I know there was a lot of transfer questions and enrollment questions, right, and some special ed questions. So feel free to
sort them out and share them with you, and we will continue to work together.
Okay, and I'll have Missy reach out to you guys so her and Shane can kind of let you know what they're thinking.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Amanda.
Okay, thanks everybody. Talk to you later.
Bye.